Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, with less than 72 hours to go before the start of AgroFest, it's all systems go for the premier agricultural showpiece. Over 300 exhibitors are expected to display their wares from Friday through until Sunday. Today, workmen were busy erecting stalls on the grounds of Queen's Park, which will house them. And Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, says a main area of concern is the Transport Board's inability to provide its usual service of ferrying school children to view the exhibits.
We have an issue in terms of the transportation of the schools. We have had a tremendous interest this year on the part of the schools, but the difficulty is that transportation is proven to be an issue for some schools. So I don't know if that will affect the attendance that we see normally on Fridays from the school population. But some schools have already made internal arrangement, and what we have been doing within the Secretariat is trying to link them with persons who might have transportation and have them available.
Mr. Paul adds that there will be a dress rehearsal on Thursday evening to iron out any problems ahead of the Friday morning start.
That will really entail making sure that all the utilities are actually connected to the stalls, the lights are in. Some stalls will need water, so that of course has to go into, especially in our animal section. We really need to know that we can actually accommodate the livestock, because it is not as simple as people think. We have to ensure that the water and the electricity are in those livestock areas, so that, for instance, the animals will not be adversely impacted by being brought into another environment and being placed under too much stress at the same time.
The head of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. for Europe says efforts are in place to increase visitor arrivals from Germany, France and Italy. And Anita Nightingale says they're hoping to do this by promoting the island more. Lisa Lord reports.
During a recent interview, Ms. Nightingale revealed that Barbados welcomed 38,000 arrivals from the European market last year. This is in comparison to 70,000 back in 1995. She says they are confident the numbers will bounce back again as officials promote Barbados during several upcoming roadshows.
We need to get airlift. I mean, with awareness, then the airlift will come. So we're almost starting from scratch, but we've got inspiration. We've been inspired by past performance, and that's kind of the main thing. So we're going to do the Italy Roadshow right after ITB. That's going to be in March, and then following that we're hoping to do a German Roadshow, one in Germany. That's going to be very new, but we think it's important because Germany is our largest market. And then we're still going to do the French Roadshow right after WTM. So that's kind of the exciting thing. The beauty about roadshows is that those who come will be exclusively focused on Barbados. We're not spending as much money, and two, we're not sharing attention with anyone. It's just going to be on Barbados. So we know that the people who are coming to know more about our destination, and that's the important thing.
Ms. Nightingale says with Air France traveling to Barbados 3 times a week from this month, it will make it easier to visit the island from that part of the world.
On Thursdays, Saturdays and Mondays. So that's a new flight, and we're feeling very positive about this. The French market has been growing very slowly but without a flight, so we have great expectations for them with a flight.
Just yesterday, Tourism Minister Richard Seeley indicated that 2017 will be another bumper year for Barbados. Lisa Lord, CBC News.
Minister of Industry Donville Innes is standing by a decision to reduce the tariff rate on cement entering Barbados. Since the move, he says he's received letters of complaints from attorneys representing Arawak in Trinidad and Tobago.
It has resulted in a fall in the price of cement in Barbados. There's not everything that we can do that for. We have to be very clear as to what must inform our decisions. In James Paul, I have this running battle. We are colleagues in Democratic Party, but we differ in some respects.
Upgrades are on the cards for the island cemeteries. Already, work is ongoing on an internment site at the St. James Cemetery. And according to Minister of the Environment and Drainage, Dr. Dennis Lowe, 3 other cemeteries are set to also undergo upgrades and expansion. Work on the St. James Cemetery is being undertaken by the Maria Holder Trust. There are also plans to refurbish and expand the Bushy Park Cemetery in St. Philip. Dr. Lowe says his ministry is in conversation with the Ministry of Housing, Lands and Rural Development to provide an additional 22.2 acres of land. This will be vested in the Sanitation Service Authority to be used for burials. Well, police have made a fresh appeal for assistance in identifying the two men involved in the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Omar Edwards of Bartlett Tenantry, Sergeant Village, Christchurch. Portions of the shooting seen here was captured on video. The shooting took place earlier this month. Edwards received several gunshot wounds to his upper body. Now, anyone who can provide information to assist with this investigation is asked to contact the Worthing Police Station at telephone number 430-7614 or 7615. They can also call the police emergency at telephone number 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 or the nearest police station. The man held in connection with a recent stabbing incident, the aftermath of which was captured on cell phone video, has been granted bail. Appleton Ithmar Ishmael Paris had his day in court after he was charged with injuring Antonio Todd last week. 30-year-old Todd of Grisette's St. Michael was stabbed in the chest. Paris appeared before Magistrate Christy Cuffey Sargent in the District A Magistrates Court, where he was granted $10,000 bail with one surety. Paris is to return to court on March 10th. What appears to be a human skull was discovered earlier today in Phillips Road, Blackrock, and police have launched an investigation. Public Relations Officer Acting Inspector Roland Cobbler says lawmen received a report around 2, and when they responded, they confirmed the find. The acting inspector says the next step is to try to determine the identity of the person. He tells CBC News that would include DNA testing or any other tools at the disposal of the investigating team. It's close to 2 weeks and still no trace of wanted man Marlon Omar George. The 31-year-old Arden Close, Pineland St. Michael resident is being sought by police in connection with serious criminal matters. George goes by the aliases Mali, Gongles and Ranger. George is again being advised he can present himself to the police at District A Police Station, accompanied by an attorney at law of his choice. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Marlon Omar George is asked to contact the District A station at 430-7223 or 430-7295. They can also contact the police emergency at telephone number 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 or the nearest police station. Police are also reminding the public it is a serious offence to harbour or assist any wanted person, and anyone caught committing this offence can be prosecuted. No one has been charged as yet with the shooting death of 25-year-old Andrew King. King and two others, 32-year-old Prince Thomas and 30-year-old Aidan Pastena, were shot in the early hours of Saturday morning as they stood talking close to Lime Grove in Whole Town. Police PRO Acting Inspector Roland Cobbler says a comprehensive investigation is continuing and is again appealing for witnesses of the incident to come forward. Oh, in other news now, town planning officials are busy updating the physical development plan, and they want to hear what you, members of the public, would like to see in it. The department is inviting you to comment on the draft, but you have just a couple of weeks to get that done. So the Chief Town Planner, Mark Cummins, he joins us now to talk about some key components of the plan and how you can share your thoughts. Mr. Cummins, first, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for inviting me.
Certainly. Now, can you tell us why the plan is being amended now? I know that it was amended in 1991 and then in 2003. So tell us the reason behind amending it now.
Yeah, the plan is being amended now because of a statutory requirement. The law requires that the plan must be updated once in every 5 years, and we are now in the process of meeting that statutory requirement. What has happened is that the survey of the island has been undertaken, and that report has been submitted to the minister responsible for town planning. So we are at this stage now, I would say we're probably 80% complete, and we are at the stage of the draft final, and we are going out now to the public to get the feedback from the public to further inform the plan. It's not a final document at all. So we really want to have the public's participation and feedback so that we can present the best possible plan for the future development of Barbados.
So the physical development plan talks about where you can build, what is the safest area to build, those types of things. That's what it talks about.
Yeah, the physical, it talks about that and other things. It's a broad settlement strategy for the island, which sets out the settlement policy. It also speaks to the land use. So yes, you would have land allocated for agriculture, residential, commercial, and the different types of activities. Also, as you know, Barbados, we are a water scarce country, and it is very important for us to protect our aquifers. So the plan will also highlight those areas which are zone 1, or if the amendment comes about before the plan is adopted, zone A, where there can be no restriction. It also protects flights going into and departing from the Grantley Adams Airport. So it's a comprehensive plan for the entire island.
Mm-hmm. Are you focusing on any specific area within Barbados?
With more than one, we are looking for this particular feedback session that we are having. We're focusing on the community plans, and I would like to use this opportunity to speak a bit about Bridgetown, because we always hear of Bridgetown is dying, nothing is happening in Bridgetown, and not that I share those views, but the current plan, which was adopted in 2003, we had a significant session set out for the Bridgetown community plan, and this coming plan, we have set out an equally important areas of Bridgetown. One of the things that we have tried to focus on will be those opportunity areas in Bridgetown, like the Pierhead. We're also focusing on where the old General Hospital used to be at the corner of Gemants Lane. Also the Needham's Peninsula, which was previously occupied by Mobile. We see these as major opportunity areas where significant development can take place in Barbados. We also want to focus, obviously, on climate change. As a small island developing state, Barbados will be impacted by sea level rise, and as a result of that, we have to ensure that our shoreline is protected, and those hotel developments which may be on the shorelines, we also have to ensure that any new development that's taking place there would not be susceptible to any challenges associated with sea level rise, or I should say those challenges will be minimized.
So how does the physical development plan speak to something like this? Does it tell you how far you build in, like the elevations that you have to build, those types of things?
It would not get as prescriptive as to tell the type of elevations and things like that. There'd be a broad general policy. Like, if I can use an example, Bay Street, certain areas in Bay Street will be designated for hotel development. There's already legislation coming out of the town planning order which determines the setback from high water mark. Now, I chose Bay Street deliberately because that beach has become wider and continues to become wider, but we recognize that during the passage of Hurricane Ivan, the width of that beach was significantly reduced and the sea came back to its original area. So notwithstanding the width of that beach, we still ask for no development to take place beyond the existing seawalls, and that is important because we want to ensure that in the event of a hurricane or any bad weather, that we do not have any destruction of our property. Okay. And we are also trying to point out to developers that if there is any development, what they should do, they should ensure that the ground floors are open, so you can have your bars, restaurants, but make sure you don't have any rooms in those areas.
Right. And then finally, very quickly, how do people get this information out? How do they get to you?
We have our website, www.tongueplanning.gov.bb/PDP. You can go onto that website and you will see all of the related plans, the policies, the community plans. We also have a series of community meetings, but we commence on Friday the 24th of a launch at 9 o'clock at the Lloyd Erskine Standiford Center, and that's by invitation. And the Honorable Frendel Stewart, Prime Minister, who is also Minister responsible for town planning, he will deliver the feature address.
Thank you. Yes, sorry, we're running out of time.
That's
so
okay.
I have to say thank you here, Mr. Mark Cummins, the Chief Town Planner. Thank you for coming in and sharing the information on the physical development plan.
Thank you very much.
Well, another Barbadian reaches a golden landmark. We'll have that story and more just ahead on the evening news.
Don't let your data experience slow you down. Step up to Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network, more than twice as fast as the slow network. Get more with Digicel. Digicel, the fastest 4G network in Barbados. Dial *153 to sign up to Digicel today.
The big sale is still on at $2 Plus Mega Store, located on Roebuck Street and St. Michael's Road, while stocks last. Get 20% off store-wide on candle holders, vases, clocks, toys, ornaments, cleaning products, barbecue grills from as low as $50, and all other household items. Also get toiletries, drinks, perfumes, and more. Hurry on over to $2 Plus Mega Store, Roebuck Street and St. Michael's Road, and cash in on these bargains. Telephone 537-0153 for Roebuck Street or 537-0220 St. Michael's Road.
Need affordable motor insurance? Get up to 30% off plus additional discounts for new and used vehicles. Call 436-6200 or log on to beacon.co.tt. Where you need us, when you need us.
With just a week to go before the big carnival jump up in Trinidad and Tobago, activities are getting into high gear. CBC's Admiral International HD is in Port of Spain, keeping a close eye on developments, and he joins us now live via Skype. Admiral.
Well, we say goodnight to the crew in Barbados, of course, from Carnival City 2017. It's really good to be in Port of Spain. First of all, let me paint a true picture of what's happening here. As you would imagine, this is the biggest carnival in the world right now, the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival. Several Barbadians last night were part of Marshall Montano's Marshall Monday. Fantastic performances on stage, but the highlight of last night's presentation was a wonderful tribute to Calypso Rose. As you would recall, Calypso Rose won one of the biggest awards, equivalent to the Grammy Awards in France a couple of weeks ago. Well, she's loved in Trinidad and Tobago. She's done a team-up song, of course, with Leave Me Alone with Marshall, and she's appearing on the various stages here. And they really love her to death. And last night showed that indeed she is really the true Calypso Queen. We've got a reciprocal arrangement with the National Cultural Foundation of Barbados, and we've got 3 Barbadians in the country right now. We had one who performed at the Queen's Park Savannah, DMC. Of course, as you know, he was the winner in the 13 to 18 category in Barbados, and he really did do a great representation of what Barbadian Kaiso was all about, dressed in his all yellow, looking like someone, of course, who was incarcerated, gave a good rendition of his song, and from all reports, everything went down well. And then earlier today, we had, of course, from the 8 to 12 category, Summer, who's also in Port of Spain. Now, tomorrow, we'll have our Calypso Monarch, Aziza, performing in Independence Square. It's going to be a special presentation. She'll be performing there, performing with the likes of some of the stalwarts in the country. You might have had the reports already that the very popular Lady Gypsy, who has just about decided to take Tuco to court because she ended up as a reserve in the competition, saying that, you know, once you sing about the PNM, once you sing about the government, you're not going to make it. A very popular song, but unfortunately she ended up in the reserves. But in the finals this year of the March Gras, which is coming up on Sunday at the Queen's Park Savannah, you'll get a chance to see the likes of Chalk Dust, who's back in this competition and doing extremely well. Gypsy, who avoided a bit of toilet paper at Skinner Park, I don't know, for the umpteenth time. I don't know why they continue to do it to Gypsy, with a very powerful song. He was able to make it to the finals this year. We've got Kieran Ashe up there. We've got some of the finest ladies and some of the finest men. Let me say to you that the competition trend has changed here in Port of Spain. They are taking 16 finalists to the Calypso Monarch competition on Sunday, each performing one song. Last Saturday at Skinner Park, 43 Calypsonians paraded before the judges, from whence, of course, the 16 were chosen.
Coming up on the weekend is going to be all fun and frolic. Tomorrow is going to be the Chutney Junior Soca Monarch in Trinidad and Tobago. I'll be at the Queen's Park Savannah covering that. Then later on in the weekend, coming up on Saturday, is going to be the Big Jam Panorama, a couple bands playing our very own song from Barbados, Good Morning by Peter Ram. That's going to be huge. And then on Sunday, of course, it's the Calypso Monarch competition, where 16 Calypsonians will assemble at the Queen's Park Savannah to parade their big songs. Then, of course, we move into Monday and Tuesday for the finale of Carnival 2017. I'm having a good fun in Port of Spain. I'm hoping that I can do this for you, maybe a couple mornings, maybe a couple evenings, to bring you some more of all the Barbadians and what's happening in Trinidad. I've got my buddies with me, Eduardo, who is our lighting man tonight. I want to say thank you to him. And, of course, Robert from GIS, who's been a part of this presentation tonight, all setting up the lights to make sure that the crew in Barbados saw the Admiral live from Port of Spain. Thank you, and we say good night from Carnival City 2017.
Thank you very much, Admiral. We'll keep up with you for those promised reports. Oh, the BWA's wastewater division is clearing the air following reports of new sewage problems in the south. Manager Patricia Innes confirms that flushing took place yesterday morning between 8 and 9 as part of scheduled maintenance. As a result, one of the 3 pumps was shut down for a short period, but according to her, wastewater levels were closely monitored and there was no evidence of leakages, particularly in the known hot zones. She also pointed out that the photos accompanying an article suggesting otherwise were actually of storm drains and not BWA manholes.
It is unfortunate, even in the article that was shown, it spoke of manholes overflowing, but the pictures did not show any of Barbados Water Authority manhole covers. What was seen is a picture of a water storm drain, which is a standard drain, nothing related to sewage. So even from the article, we could not identify what was the possible source of a problem. We are not trying to negate possibilities. We are still trying to make things right. We just want to be sure that when you speak of something, we know what it is and how we can address it.
Stating that the only calls regarding the leakage had been from the media, Ms. Innes reminded citizens to first contact the BWA to report any concerns. She also announced plans to roll out a new fats, oils and greases or FOG program next week. Ms. Innes says the aim is to make Barbadians aware of their part in protecting the island's sewage systems.
Many other things are turning up in the network, and therefore Barbadians can help us protect the sewer lines as we look to not only improve the plants but to extend the plants into renewable and bigger and better things for Barbadians, so that in another year or so we can boast of not only having a network system and a sewer system, but one that is more advanced and one that is futuristic, and that is the plan.
And you can tune into Water Wednesdays tomorrow in the CBC Evening News to hear more from the manager of the Wastewater Division about a new plan geared to improve the situation over on the South Coast. The Impact Justice Program is making strides towards revamping the justice system across the region. Director of the Canadian government-funded project, Professor Velma Newton, says so far legislation on organized crime and sexual harassment has been drafted. Professor Newton was speaking at the opening of the Enhancing Support to Victims of Crime workshop, where a contingent from the Ottawa Police Force will be providing training to participants. She says in addition, they have been focusing on alternative dispute resolution within communities and in the schools.
We've been training educators, teachers, and administrative persons in terms of education and restorative practices. That has been used fairly well in schools in North America and elsewhere, and it's a way of teaching persons and children and their teachers how to cope with problems that arise in school.
Well, it was double the festivities today as Barbados' latest centenarian, Earl Brown, was honored. Family, friends and special guests from Barbados, Canada and the UK were on hand for the celebration. These included Governor-General Sir Elliot Belgrave, nephew Professor Sir Trevor Hassel, Rector of the St. George Parish Church Reverend John Rogers, and Government Senator Jeter Ince. The celebration was extra special as Mrs. Brown's 6-year-old great-granddaughter Eleanor shares her birthday. Along with her faith, the fun-loving former teacher described the rather interesting diet that keeps her going.
all raw foods. I like pigtail, I like salt in my food, but don't care for greens, don't care for cucumber or pear. I first plant in the ground fertilizer, put some rice, no nappies in rice.
Sounds good to me. Happy birthday, Mrs. Brown. Well, there's a little bit of a reprieve tonight for those business people filing their value-added tax returns. The Barbados Revenue Authority revealed this afternoon that as a result of technical issues experienced earlier today, the VAT filing deadline has been extended until tomorrow, Wednesday, February 22nd. Still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region.